Hi there, my name is Aliyah Selah, and welcome to Psychic Inspiration Academy for Astro Insights. And today we are looking at August 2022, but we're also going to be looking at all kinds of celestial energetics on through the decade. So there'll be lots of other things to hang on to that will be things that you can look back at and watch this again and see how it lined up. So it's timely for now, but it's also stretching onward. So the main thing we're going to be focusing on now is the Taurus Triad, which happens on the 1st through 3rd and then still even lingers to the 10th, when Taurus is met with the Uranus, North Node, and then Mars comes in. And that's the three of them that have not been there since a very long time. And that's what we're going to be talking about as we go on. We're going to then talk about the full moon in Aquarius on the 11th, and how that energy is building up from the Taurus Triad to lead into a very strong full moon in Aquarius. And then we're going to go on to the new moon in Virgo with Jupiter going retrograde. And that's a time to really start getting into some health and learning. That's when school starts, and we'll be kind of getting back into some kind of a pattern in our life. So use this new moon energy to help you to get into a rhythm for the new life thing that you're starting to focus on as the harvest energy comes. Then we'll be having the harvest equinox in September. So I'll be doing a September one as well for that. But right now we're focusing on the Taurus Triad, which is huge. And you know, with authentic life astrology, we really focus on visceral vibrational approaches, so that if you're an intuitive person like an empath, a starseed, a light worker, if you're an indigo or crystal, or just an artist, healer, or even just a really sensitive parent who's just had a kid, you understand things because you're intuitive. So this astrology, it gives you the language of our self-growth, so that it's guiding your intuition to help you make the most authentic life choices. So that's the goal here, and I offer Astro Chi activations and my Astro Insights, which I'm giving you today. So if you're interested in those, look down below and I'll have more information about it. So come on in for some celestial energetic overviews. The first thing I want to say is there are some wonderful astrologers right now, some women I'm really looking to for incredible overviews of what's going on. Bracha Goldsmith is one that I really appreciate, and she gave this information in her focus on this time period. But also Pam Gregory, I really love her. She's so set on what is spiritually evolving our planet, as Bracha is, and Molly as well, Molly McCord, very, very beautiful astrologers who are coming from an intuitive approach that I really relate to, and I'm really grateful to see them coming forward as well with such good information. Back 30 years ago when I was doing this, there really wasn't very many people who necessarily didn't want to predict for you, and also were God-centered, and also really looked at the whole history span as a way to look and understand astrology and the impact of the cycles that we're going through and how it relates with history. So I'm focusing here on Alexander the Great, who was the last time when this triad happened of Taurus, Uranus, North Node, and Mars came together. And he was the king of Macedonia from 336 BC to 323 BC. So he had a 3-year reign that's kind of a lot of what's going on, a lot of chaos and upheaval, war and famine, and you know, all kinds of shifts for the common people. and he conquered a huge empire that stretched from Balakan to modern day Pakistan. But you know, you say Alexander the Great, he was going around conquering by murdering and destroying people's lives. And after a while, we need to look at this and say, when was somebody considered a warrior when they did such destructive things? You know, it's time for us to get into a whole nother vibe, and that's what's coming up as we look forward to what this means for us now. Well, now what we have is we have Uranus, which is an 84-year cycle, and it was first seen when electricity was first discovered. And that's how you can know Pluto. Like, Pluto was discovered when the atom bomb was discovered. So it's kind of a person that understands history can understand astrology in a way that's really helpful, because you begin to understand symbolically that this is our consciousness that was growing in this direction, in this way. And then you begin to see that astrology is just a language to convey emotional intelligence and cycles of growth and cycles of civilizations and cycles that, you know, we will evolve towards because of our consciousness that's growing. So I can see that Uranus is a very important planet. It is an 84-year cycle, and that means that 42 is its opposition. And oftentimes I've found that people who are kind of going through a midlife crisis, often around 42, and what that means is just, you know, making choices that weren't really in alignment with your authentic self, and then your authentic self goes, no, I must do what I'm here to do. And that's when people will just pivot and make a whole new choice in life, and oftentimes for the better. And I think that that's what this Uranian energy is about. It's like the world is having a midlife crisis, but they're kind of late in the crisis. They probably had the midlife crisis in 2008 and just said, well, we'll just deal with it for another, 10, 20 years, And the point is that we are seeing awakening in people. We're seeing activism. We're seeing electric energy rising as we understand that electric cars can be safe and can be a way to be in alignment with the environment. And there's all these solutions coming, quantum leaps, all kinds of AI stuff. And, we're finding more and more all over the world. This activism is an act of bravery. It's brilliant bravery, what the truckers were doing in Canada and what the farmers are now doing all throughout Europe and the world. We are seeing that we are going to allow humanity to come together through fighting people who were trying to make the world come together in a way that fit best for them, without considering how it fit best for others. So I think that, we understand that that's what's going on, but what we now really understand to the impact of what it's going to be is that we have so much power. We have power by the light of God, if you understand God, angels, our ancestors, Aboriginals, and indigenous peoples. We have so many beings that are pointing us in the direction of renewal. And this Uranus, which is sudden changes of things that we need to change because they need to change, conjunct the North Node, which is our growth that we have come here to experience in a personal chart, and in a chart in the sky with Uranus. It is all of us growing towards our potential growth. And this is going to be a beautiful thing that starts July 20th. It's going to be building its energy, and then about August 1st is when Mars joins in, and that's when the three of them go forward And this energy is going to be happening till the 10th of August. But then we have so many other things going on with the moon opposing Pluto on the 23rd of August at 11:17 p.m. And the moon is our emotions. Opposing is our Pluto energy is our tribal wound, you know, because we are tribal and we have to reunite with that understanding that we are tribal beings. We look at, you know, the so many other animals, they're travel in tribes, they work with each other. How many others are like upmanshipping the Joneses, you know, and trying to get ahead of each other and not caring about each other? There's very few species that survived that had that kind of undertone. And the whole business model where, you know, it's a war and you're basically going to conquer the market, and, you know, the whole thing has to shift. And that's what's happening. Moon is our emotions, opposes Pluto, and this wound of our tribal needs that are not being met in this situation, in this way the world is set up. It's serving very few. And we know that. So this Plutonian energy is just coming up. And then the next day, Uranus goes retrograde. And Uranus is sudden changes, as we said. So this moon opposing Pluto is a setup for the tribal emotional wound to show itself. And then Uranus will take it retrograde, where we will go over and review, what does it mean for us? What does this world want to birth? How am I to offer who I am and what I've came to offer, so that I can help this transformation that apparently we all signed up for to be here? This is quite the show. And in fact, all the galaxy are watching, because this is the greatest show on the galaxy, is watching what Earth is going to do, wake up or blow up. You know, we're on the edge of our seats here, but they're rooting for us. They're rooting for us. They know we can do it, and we have their support. So I could say this Taurus energy is the voice of the earth. And this Taurus Triad is Uranus, is sudden changes that happen to get us to grow, and Mars is going to come in there and add the energy to move. And we are here, ready to shift. We are shifting the planet. And that's what's happening. Here's the actual chart of it. Now, what we have here is we have, well, let me just back up. The first thing that I do when I look at a chart is I look at the geometric shapes that are happening. And I get a gestalt feeling from the shapes, you know, and I kind of look, where is the energy pointing? Because oftentimes there is an energy focus that is coming together. And what does that mean? So I will look at this chart. This is like the Taurus Triad, and here's the Taurus Triad, right? We have Uranus, Mars, and the North Node in Taurus. And look, all of these other planets, you know, the moon, which is our emotions, Mercury, which is our communication, the sun, which is our vital energy, you know, and then here we have Venus, all pointing that direction. And you know, Saturn in Aquarius pointing in that direction. And then we have this, you know, trine here, which is, you know, Leo and Aries, which is fire energy, and that's going to add to the energy of Mars. Even though Mars is not in a fire sign right now, it is a fire planet. So this fire trine is going to be a good thing. And then we got Chiron, the wounded healer. So we've got all this energy coming forth with Pisces, you know, Neptune. So that's very calming. And, you know, Saturn in Aquarius. So we have a lot of energy popping towards this that is shifting, that is like really once, like the last time it happened, you know, so it's really a once in a galactic period that is, I believe, a catalyst. And I'm seeing this tribal healing, as I said, and it's time to find, cultivate, and honor your tribe. It's time to reach out. If it's your family, reach back to your family and initiate, if that's your tribe. If it's your friends, if it's your workers, whoever is your real tribe, the one that is got your back, that tribe, that's the one I'm focusing on. Find it, cultivate it, and honor your tribe. That's from July 20th, when this whole thing starts off with just a North Node and Uranus, and we're getting more ease in attracting people or lessons into our lives that encourage us to detach from traditions or conventions that aren't serving us, that are keeping us from our growing. Time to go into a global, indigenous perspective, being one with the planet, the garden planet, and how it's a good time to make pivotal friendships and group connections. I mean, if you've always thought, you should do that, then do that. If there's somebody that you like, yeah, I should get better friends with, and you have that intuition, follow your intuition. It's going to lead you to where you are going to find these people are going to be helping you through this whole period. We have to find each other and be there for each other. Now, the Mars is going to meet up with this on August 1st. So, rebellion for a good reason in the name of Sandra Bernhard. It's, good excuses for bad behavior. It means that there are people like on their tractors in Europe, and they are speaking what needs to be said. And yet we are getting more peaceful and poetic in how we do it to make more of an impact. Because I was just watching, hearing about Google and how much they really retain our information. The whole government was like questioning them. And there's this guy in the back behind the Google guy, and he's got a hat and a monocle, and he's got a mustache just like the Monopoly guy. And I'm like, this is brilliant. We need to do activism in an artistic way, performance art. Get creative. Let's get creative and find a way to speak what needs to be spoken. I knew he was talking about the monopoly that's going on, and that's who they are. And he didn't have to say anything. He didn't need a sign. He didn't say snarky comments or be negative. He just was inquisitive and acting like the monopoly guy in the game. And I knew, and I'm sure everybody else understood his message. And see how creative and fun that can be, and how, that's why fake news became the real news, because it was actually their perspective. The perspective of like, let's find a way to work this out and get along. We're all one here. That was what Jon Stewart was all about. And Noah now is what he's offering. And there's, Russell Brand. God bless Russell Brand. Love you. I love that there's so many people, Joe Rogan, coming forward and speaking the truth. And I just think these are these brave, brilliant minds that need to be seen. And that's a lot of what this Mars energy is. It's coming out, this Uranian energy that's coming out. So what does this mean to you? Where do you have Taurus at 18 degrees in your chart? And if you don't know your chart, you can go to AstroSeek and you can put it in and print a chart and find out. I love AstroSeek. They're wonderful. They give you a way to copy the chart. They give you a way to see the different meanings. If you're new to astrology, you can get acquainted with some of the basic meanings. And they have all the new moons and full moons. And if you want to tweak it just a little bit more forward here or there, they have a way to do that. So it's a wonderful system. And if you're learning astrology, I highly recommend it. So thank you, AstroSeek. So basically, if you have 18 degrees Taurus in your chart, then this is going to be a huge activation for you. Now, if you have Leo, Aquarius, or Scorpio, which are all fixed signs, just like Taurus is, it's going to also be a square or an opposition to what is going on in the sky. So it's going to activate you in that way. Now, what does that mean, activate you? It's like an alarm clock that goes off. Like if you have Taurus energy and suddenly you have Uranus, North Node, and Mars sitting right on top of your whatever you have in Taurus, it's going to activate it. It sends it energy. Now, does that mean good or bad? No, it actually is energy that you have to use if, in fact, you are somebody who has the ability to use that energy because you understand what it is. And that's why I teach astrology, so that you can understand more of your synchronicities, where you can understand what it is that you are wanting to do. And if you want to get into Jupiter energy and expand and stuff, and you want to be aware of how you can get overindulgent or, OTC, what is that? But, when you're obsessive, you can take anything too far. So all these things are not positive, they're not negative, they are both, and they are there for you to be able to understand how to use the energy like a surfer surfs on the waves, or like you understand the weather patterns so that you don't go out in the storm and you just, wait till the storm clears, and that's when you travel. So it's kind of like understanding these wonderful ebbs and flows that the celestial bodies go through. As we attune to them, we have more intuition guiding us and more ability to know what timing would be what we would be able to be in alignment with, so that we're able to serve in situations, we're able to grow spiritually, we're able to be creative, we're able to find solutions. These are the reasons why we do this. And I believe that astrology raises emotional intelligence. I believe that it just gets us in the conversation where we can talk about soul growth, and we can talk about how we are really finding a way to enjoy our growing more and with each other. So if you have another earth sign, which is a Capricorn or Virgo, then this Taurus will be a trine to whatever, and that's a 120 degrees. So it's a positive energy, real harmonious. It's another earth sign, so you're going to get grounded in more earth energy. This is going to help you from that aspect of it. So it's a good thing to know how it affects your personal chart, and that's what you can do if you want to at Astro Seek. So I wanted to just say that this is such a beautiful picture. I love these kids learning, in the jungle, and there they are in their uniforms and studying there in the jungle. And I feel like, wow, they had to come all the way back to their heritage, possibly, and it's just what we're seeing now is that we are all honoring our forests and what makes the forest, and how the forest cares for the rest of the forest. I mean, all the trees care for each other, and through the, mycelium, which is the mushrooms underneath. And it's just this cooperative environment that we need to honor. And as we do, we obviously will honor the connections we have to each other. So how do we understand astrology? Well, I feel that we have free will. Astrology does not take away your free will. It just helps us to choose. And I say mostly free will because some people are born into really hard situations. And so they don't have the same amount of choices as somebody who's born into better situations. And that's true. But still it means that they can make the most of whatever it is they're given. And what we are able to choose is, are we going to express it by responding or reacting to something in ourselves, or responding to what's really out there happening in the moment. So this is mindfulness, and you can see that we are now teaching our kids mindfulness more than ever before, and I am so grateful for that. That's going to shift everything. That's what I do. I teach art, and I teach sound healing and mindfulness to kids of all ages, including adults, that means. But anyways, my point is, what is it that we all do now to raise emotional intelligence and get along is what is going to save our planet. It's not that we need just one invention. We need tons of inventions. It's not that we need one person to help us all through it. We need each of us to see our own part in it and what we can do to help. Because I feel that destiny is everyone acting out their free will simultaneously. So if we want to honor where we want our planet to go, our vision for that, then it's time we all figure out more what is our part and help kids especially to figure out what's theirs, you know, and an individualized education. And that's what I see for the future, especially with Uranus and this other energy happening. So I just wanted to say there's a lot of parts to this puzzle. Don't get overwhelmed with astrology. The good news is that there's a limited amount of things that you need to know, and once you know them, it'll kind of be very visceral, because the elements, you know, earth, air, water, fire, very visceral. You can feel like, oh, he doesn't have very much water in his chart, or he has so much fire in his chart. You could get a feeling of what that would mean just knowing that, because visceral, you know, elements are something an intuitive person just feels. And then there's another few concepts, and that is cardinal, fixed, immutable. And before I was talking about how Taurus is a fixed sign. So that's the squares and the oppositions. So that's the squares and the oppositions, where the elements are the trines, because there's 3 of each of them, and there's 4 of each of these. So it's a cross, and like zodiac signs that are cardinal, they start the season. So they're the equinoxes and the solstices. And then fixed zodiac signs embody each of the seasons more fully. And then mutable zodiac signs conclude each season and help to transition to the next one. So you begin to see that it's very much a part of, you know, even Vata Kapha, you know, Pitta. It's an interesting understanding of how these energies move. To just give you more metaphors to draw upon as you understand some of the things that it's trying to say to you. I am a big proponent in allowing people to come up with their own solutions, and what I might do is point out a few things to consider, which would make it easier for them to make a more authentic choice for themselves. So the other thing, the last part here, is that there is something which is really a brilliant thing that my partner came up with, and I'm sure others also have a similar understanding. But basically what we have here, he and I have been astrologers together for over 35 years, and so this is the first 4 planets, signs: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer are personal. You'll find they have, you know, I'm not saying that people that have that sun sign are this way. I'm saying the archetype of those zodiacs are the personal part, the first 4. The second 4 are interpersonal: Leo, Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio. Those archetypal understandings, which could be a house, it could be a planet, it could be an aspect, it could be, you know, the way that aspects line up with each other. So it's just another understanding about these zodiacs, that the last 4, you know, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, are more transpersonal. Okay, so that's why, you know, Aquarian age is so important for us to get it together, to have an interdependent society where everyone matters, you know, where we have equanimity, and we allow technology to bring us closer. That's my prayer, that the Aquarian age guides us to see our connection, the quantum field, and how our whole species is getting an upgrade. I mean, we all know there was just a solar flare July 20th that was the biggest one ever in recorded history. So we are getting so much energy right now, and a lot of people are feeling very strongly that the Galactic Federation of Light are holding space for us, and we'll intervene if there's any persons who think that they can do a bomb, because it's actually reverberates out into the galaxy, and it's very bad, not just for us. But that's why they're watching us. And although free will, law of one, they cannot intervene, they can intervene if we blow up bombs. And they have stopped bombs before when they were doing various tests and stuff. The military is now coming forward with saying, which is why they're a threat. But they've never done anything threatening to us on that level, those celestial beings. So I am looking at astrology now from a place where we are all growing our understanding of what that means to be a human being at this time. We are growing, and that's what this North Node is, our growth. We are, increasing benefits, similar to Jupiter, expands our calling, our mission, where are we headed, and how we need to learn from the future, and learn from things that we've come here to learn. That's what our future destiny will be. The unknown and the unchallenged will then be challenging us to grow towards that direction. And so I think that it's really an important time. There's some other things, a port of fortune, which is actually when they take the sun, moon, and birth sign, and they do a mathematical equation. You can find out, look it up. I have more information when I'm actually teaching a class, but it's a good thing to check out where the port of fortune is in somebody, because it's prosperity opportunities. Whereas the vertex also is where one might find fortune or fate, and that's another mathematical equation that is what people look at, but when I look at a chart, I'm not necessarily looking at every single thing and explaining it. I try to attune to the person if I'm giving a chart reading for them, for what they're looking for, and the reading they lead. I may come up with some information that's helpful for them because I'm paying attention to what they really are interested in, what their focus is for right now. So I think that that's the thing, is a lot of times I really have to go through helping people to get over chart readings where people told them who they were and what they had to be or do, or who they should be with or not be with. And I just have to say, you know what? I'm healing the person by telling them I'm not going to do that, and that's not astrology. Astrology is meant to be a learning, growth, soul growth process of understanding your lessons, so that as they unfold, you can take the most opportunity from being aware of what's going on as it's happening. So that, like, if you may have heard of Saturn return at 2930, you're going to have that either way, astrology or not. But let's say at 26, when the frontal lobe goes in, you start learning about Saturn return, so that you prepare more. When Saturn return happens, you actually get all these rewards because you were preparing. So nothing's written in stone that's going to happen this way and that's going to have the outcome. You have full ability to make it what you want it to be. You have free will. And here we talk about Mars. Talk about free will. Mars is about desire, zest for life, forward motion, giving energy. It's male energy, and it's a red planet. You might see it as a red star, and it's considered the god of war as far as the Greeks and various different legends that we take astrology meaning from. And there's some possible anger. I'm not going to lie. There's some stuff that could really pop off here. And so what are we going to do when Mars goes there? It's going to be some energetic stuff that does kind of, I would say October 1st through even 10th, you're going to find that there's going to be some stuff. Could be disclosure stuff. It's going to be some stuff. Let me just tell you, it's possible anger if people want to have that. It could be just possibly controlling other people. It could be that as well. But I say that it's giving us energy to move towards love. Because all the planets are helping us move towards love. That's why we're here, So basically, as we understand why we're here and see how these planets are teaching us, giving us opportunities to grow in certain ways. Like, for instance, Mars is going to be going into Gemini on August 20th. So that means that it's going to be a lot more about communication. It's going to be a lot more about words that may be used in controlling or manipulating as well, because it's both the light and the shadow. So it's about us really paying attention to words and how things are said and how we choose to say them and how we choose to hear them and how things that are being said, we need to see what's really going on by every perspective, because Gemini is very good at looking at every perspective so that we have a really good understanding of the full view of what's going on. So I think that that's something that's going to be important. And then, 2 days later, the sun enters Virgo. So Virgo is a time of, the harvest. It's a time of regeneration, and a lot of people focusing on their health or focusing on going back to school to better their lives. So there's a lot of energy to get things moving again. It's the Jewish New Year, so it's a time where we get things moving. And we've had some sluggish years with all this going on. So I think that we need something to get us back into the energy. I think so, well, that's what this Taurus triad, and especially with Mars adding, is giving us that energy to move forward. If you feel stuck, it'd be a good time to really be aware of these energies happening at the beginning of August and moving towards, the other things that are happening in August, because of Mars going into Gemini. Then will be a lot more about communication at that point. From Taurus, where it's more about the earth and speaking for the earth. When it goes into Gemini, it's really going to be about us getting along, emotional intelligence, and how we communicate with each other, how we respond rather than react, and our mindfulness. So all that's going to really come into play, and especially as Sun goes into Virgo, because that's our health. Our health is our wealth. And that's why we're fighting for our food right now, that it will be healthy food and that we will have the ability to control our own food. So that's a big issue that's coming up. You're going to see that coming up a lot, and you don't need astrology to know that, but it's interesting how astrology echoes it. So we're going to continue on here. I have the chart for the full moon, and I skipped this other thing accidentally here. The full moon is in Aquarius. Yay! Aquarius is community energy and equanimity and connection and group mind, and 99% coming together, to renewal, the renewal of our garden planet. And as far as that goes, it's really about interdependence, and how we understand that each of us have love and guidance that is our birthright, and it's time for us to see how we can offer that to each other through understanding these shifts that are happening to all of us. This is the Pacific time that I'm giving, but adjust to your time. We see how the full moon energy builds, and that's what I really love to show in astrology, is just the energetic building of energy, and how we have almost like a complex sense metaphor when you build the energy, and how visceral that is. And if you're an empathic person, you're going to get this so easily, because it's kind of like the sun is your vital energy, and it's squared, so it's like a itch on your leg that you just have to scratch. It's a call to action. That's what a square is. And some say it's negative, it's 90 degrees, it's a sharp angle, but it is a call to action. So the sun energy, vital energy, is squaring Uranus. And Uranus is, going through this whole thing with the Taurus Triad. So all of a sudden it has a sun squaring the Taurus Triad. What does that mean? A call to action. That's what that means. This full moon is going to energize a call to action. And that happens early in the morning. Then the Moon Sextile, which is 60 degrees, it's also a positive aspect. And Jupiter in Aries. The moon is very much of our nurturing, our emotional self, and it's going to be sextile Jupiter in Aries. So that's at 1:08. Then Venus enters Leo at 10:30 a.m. and that is going to be a whole nother energy for Venus to suddenly be in the performance, which is, I think, a wonderful idea of doing performance art. Because that's a wonderful way for us to put out our message, be entertaining, and at the same time really saying something. And I just watched this, the government was talking to Google, and this guy's dressed up like the Monopoly guy in the Monopoly game with the big mustache and the top hat and the monogram. And so I'm just saying, he spoke volumes. He entertained people by going, and at the same time, he was making a statement about the monopoly of Google, and what Google is with the government and, surveillance and all the things that are happening in our world. We have to look at this and readjust an individual way to shine in the group. Everyone, interdependence, everyone shines in the group. Can we have this equanimity? That's the goal. So the next thing that happens is that the Moon Sextile, again, that's at 60 degrees. It's a positive aspect. Chiron, which is the wounded healer, whereas Jupiter is expansion, or it could be overindulgence. Chiron is the wounded healer that actually has faced their darkness, their wound, and they have grown through it to the other side. And then they can become a teacher to those who need that wound. And I like to say that Chiron is the planet of the entrepreneur, because we have the ability to counsel others, or, various different consultations, or, businesses where we help people with things that we have gotten good at because it was something that was hard for us. Oftentimes our Saturn issues are the things that are the hardest thing for us, but if we really face our Saturn issues, they become something that we get good at, and we can really help people to grow with that because we have gone that journey. So there it is with Jupiter also in Aries next to Chiron, or they're further apart now, but basically that whole energy of the expansion of the entrepreneur and growing through our wound to the other side. So then we have Moon square Uranus, and again, this is the last thing. Was Sun was square Uranus in the morning. 12 hours later, Moon is squaring Uranus. So Uranus is getting charged from both the Sun and the Moon with this energy while it's in this Taurus Triad, which technically kind of stopped on the 10th, but has been growing this whole time, and then the full moon happens on the 11th. So it's really still much building from the Taurus Triad into this full moon. And then the moon conjuncts Saturn in Aquarius. So again, all these moon are our emotional self conjuncting Saturn, which is our karma. It's our responsibility. It's what we own up to, and owning up to what is our vision for community. That's what Saturn's asking us. You want community. What is community? How do we hold in our integrity what community is, hold our interdependence vibe so that everybody counts in equanimity? How do we do this with Saturn, which is the bottom line of karma and responsibility? So how can we make it work, financially? How can we make it work, with resource wise? How can we make it work? Because our intention is to help it to work between all of us, So that's very much the Aquarian age. And then, this happens later. That moon conjunct Saturn in Aquarius happens in the evening. What happens is that moon squares Uranus after the sun squared Uranus in the morning, and then the full moon at 6:36 happens. So it's like it lines up the sun and the moon 12 hours apart, and then boom, the full moon, and then you've got the moon conjunct Saturn in Aquarius meeting up with this full moon. So this is a very powerful full moon, and time for us to really look at our community wounds and look how Aquarius is helping us to heal them and bringing us together. There's a lot of things that are going down that are not positive, no doubt, but they are leading to positive things. They are leading to people coming together and finding solutions, tribal connections, and finding, what really matters in life is our connections with our tribe. And it may not be the tribe you grew up in. Or maybe it's time to reconnect with your birth family. Maybe it's time to really hone your artistic family, or whoever it is, your work family. Understand that we are here right now at this time to help one another get through this, push that we need to get through. And we have so much energy in the celestial beings and, galactic beings who are here helping us to make this transition into what people are calling 5D. And I would say that if that's what you call it and it works for you, yes. If you don't like that word, don't say it. But basically, we have basically everything is set up for us the way we thought it was. We're going to find out through disclosure that it's not that at all. And the 4D has been running the 3D. Then we're going to go to 5D, where we are able to be, stellar beings and able to have our celestial birthright of healing this planet. That's what we came here for. That's what we're doing here. And that is what's going to happen, whether you call it the rainbow warriors who rise up and care for the earth, or you call it the people who are, in a financial position to help, like Elon Musk and others who are in a position to help and do. We're going to find out more and more that we are seeing so much be revealed. And it's important for us to be aware, and this awakenedness that's happening with the July 20th solar flares that are leading up to this full moon, that's leading up to, the other things that are happening. It's just the energy keeps moving. And if you're interested in finding out more, go to AstroSeek, where you can do a chart. Now, this is an interesting full moon chart here, because what you're seeing is, do you see how this is the Taurus, Mars, Uranus, and North Node, and how this is just pointing right to it. It's an opposition, of the sun and the moon. That's always a full moon. It's this opposition of the sun and moon. But you look at what's with it. So it's the moon with Saturn in Aquarius, and that's the flavor of it. This one, it is the sun in Leo, and then you're looking that both of those together are pointing to this Taurus Triad. So that's a big point that's happening here. And we do have the vertex over here, not too far from the sun. So it's, some distant things that are happening here, I would say, to make this more potent. So that's a lot what's going on. We have Neptune, which is also sextiling the Taurus Triad here. Excuse me, not sextile. Yeah, that's sextile. There you go. So that's the other energy that's going towards it, right? And then we have Pluto there, and that's another one that's giving, its energy there. It's a trine because it's an Earth sign, and it's Capricorn, Pluto, and Taurus here, the Taurus Triad. So we're seeing a lot of connection here. Venus is connecting with Neptune as well. So there's only really, I always look at the planets that are not connected. And we see that lonely Mercury is there saying, what about me? Because we really do need to focus on the Mercury in Virgo is communicating in a healing way, focusing on our food, our harvest, and healing through food. And that is a big about the communication. So I think that might be part of why it's kind of left out there. So anyways, I'm going to go on ahead to the new moon. And this is kind of interesting because, as we know, this is, if you know, the retrograde season is upon us. So that's Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, and Chiron are all retrograde. So what does that mean? Retrograde is really a time to let's review, let's go back, let's integrate anything that was needing to be integrated while it was direct, so that when it goes direct again, you'll be able to assimilate the new things that are coming forward and be very connected to the things that, are happening that you've integrated in during the retrograde. So when it goes direct, you just go forward more and continue to grow. So it's a growth thing. It's a growth thing. And it's the planets is kind of, I like to say it's like breathing. And their breaths are a lot longer than ours. So it's like they go retrograde, they go direct, It's kind of like breathing, you know? So anyways, this new moon is happening, and that's happening on the 27th, towards the end of the month of August. At 1:17 a.m., again Pacific time, 4 degrees, 4 minutes in Virgo. So it's a time for leader responsibility, okay, to the people. It's time for we the people to mean something, and leader responsibilities to rise up everywhere, where people just say, you know what, I'm going to have to do something about this myself. And everybody starts taking leadership roles in what they can help with as we reorganize, because we're going to be going through a lot of reorganization. Now, the moon is, you know, in Leo, it's opposite Leo before it is in, you know, the new moon is in Virgo. So here we have the new moon and full moon, Mars. Okay, here we go. I would normally stop, but I've gone too far. I've done this too much. I'm continuing on. So here we have the sun and the moon conjunct, and that always happens with a new moon. That are opposite in a full moon and together in a new moon. So again, when I see a chart, the first thing I look at is the incredible, sorry, my thing does that sometimes. So this incredible geometric design of the mathematical relationships of these planets. And I always look at it and I seem to get something going. I do look and see which one is not included, and they are pretty much all included. These are not planets. So this is a time where all are included except for Chiron, that is not connected in. The rest of are all connected in. Now, that's what I always look for. What is it pointing to? And you see how this Chiron, Jupiter in Aries, and Neptune in Pisces are pointing to this Mercury that is, you know, in Libra at this point. So Mercury is going to enter Libra, in just before. So it did enter it. So that's like the prep. The 27th is here, where it is in Libra. But this is how I see energy moving, like for the new moon, just like it did for the full moon. And a new moon is a good time to start new things, to plant seeds, if you're doing biodynamic planting, to cut your hair so that it grows with the moon, to start new projects. I like I have something called Moon Cycle Qigong, which is a way to honor that energy growing with the moon, from the new moon to the full moon, and how that can birth visions. And so anything that you want to birth, it's really good to start it new. Even if you just do a little bit on the new moon and do a little bit each day, you'll find it'll build up momentum. And so the prep of this new moon is that the moon is in Leo opposite, and then Saturn is in Aquarius, and that's August 25th at 11:55 p.m. Then Mercury enters Libra on 6:29, also on August 25th. So that Mercury going into Libra is going to be a lot more diplomacy, or at least attempts at diplomacy. And I would say let's pray for diplomacy and that energy giving us that, you know, that time on the 25th of August that we're really focused on. As Mercury goes into Libra, that's a really good time to focus on equanimity and on us getting along in diplomacy. So it's attuning to the energies that are happening, as well as sending prayers out for what you think is good for all. So the moon entering Virgo next on the 26th, again, another setup. So the Virgo energy of the moon, which is the new moon, it enters it the day before it reaches the new moon. So that's what we're seeing here, is this energy just culminating, culminating, waiting until it gets to 4 degrees when it's exactly new. Okay, well, that's the new moon and how it's pointing. If you see, it's pointing to Mercury. Remember, Mercury was the one that was left out in the full moon, and now it's all pointing. So many things are pointing to Mercury, from Pluto and Mars. Also, you know, the energy here of Jupiter and Neptune, all giving energy to Mercury communications as we pray that we go into this next phase with diplomacy, as our world needs it now more than ever, right? So now I'm just going to focus on the celestial energetic overview of Astro Insights. So we have July 28th when Jupiter goes retrograde into Aries at 8 degrees 43 minutes. And there's also the new moon in Leo that happens on the 28th of July. So that's just a little bit of what happened, because next we have Jupiter going back into Pisces on October 28th. And then November 23rd, Jupiter is going to go direct at 28 degrees 47 minutes Pisces. And then in December the 20th, Jupiter is back in Aries for good until it goes on. Now, Jupiter has a 12-year cycle, so it's in Aries, you know, it goes through 12 years of each sign. Okay, so next we have this important thing, which is March 23rd, 2023, Pluto enters Aquarius. Yay! And that's important because Aquarius, it's going to be there till 2044. And there's a lot going on with 2044, because actually there's going to be the possibility of a little more disclosure happening. Up until then, AI reaches singularity, which is what Ray Kurzweil said was when they know more than people. So there's a lot of things happening, and it's going to go in Aquarius. If we get our Aquarian energy right, then when this happens, it will be really blessed. It will be a really positive thing, because we will have set it all up for them to really help humanity. And so that's what I'm praying for. That is what I'm praying for. And I'm honoring interdependency and equanimity and our unique individuality and group needs. You know, this interdependency is so important as we raise emotional intelligence. That is what we're focused on. And it's been something I've been talking about a lot with the U.S. Pluto return that just happened on the 11th of July. Again, it happened the first time on February 20th, but here it is happening on the July 11th. And that was a lot of commotion that was happening. And remember, Pluto was discovered in 1930 when we made the atom bomb, when the atom bomb split. So we are really looking at our tribal needs, and that's a lot of what's coming up with the Pluto energy. So the tumultuous energy that we're feeling around us is for good reason. It's coming out so that we can grow as a race, really see the things that need to be disclosed, and really understand how AI can help us doing menial jobs so that people can have more meaningful lives, and see how it can help do many things like growing organs, so we can harvest organs that we grow, you know, through this kind of technology. We have the ability to do many wonderful things, as long as we remember our humanity and come back to our indigenous selves that understands that we are caretakers of this garden planet. So March through October 2025 is when Neptune enters Aries. Now that's after it's been in Pisces. So it's very important that Aries energy, pioneering, it's going to be a time for us to have a new boost of energy. And I believe that that's going to be, the time where they were saying around 2030, as it's in there from 2026 to 2038. So we've been hearing 2030 is when the Great Reset is. So I think that what I'm getting is that this Neptune, going into Aries 5 years before, is us getting a boost of that fire energy of Aries to, make sure that what comes is what we are seeking to create and co-create on our planet, and more emphasis on the co-creating. Then 2023 and 2024, Uranus is in Gemini. It's stable 2032, and that's really important because Uranus, again, has got this change, sudden changes in Gemini. It's really going to be about communications, and maybe we'll be so lucky that more of us will be telepathic at that point, and we'll be getting along so much better because of that, having the ability where nobody can lie or cheat because everybody can read their minds, or most of us anyways can do that. So I'm praying for that as well. Upgrade of humanity. July through November 2025, Saturn is in Aries. And so we are seeing that the Aquarian vibe is happening. We are watching this growth happen for us as a planet, as a species. And these energies that we're beginning to understand through astrology is just another way for us to be connected to nature, because the planets and the heavens are nature. They're all of the Creator, created it all. So these are some concepts that I would like to leave you with as to how to deal with this, environment the way it is. And everybody's saying this, but I'll just say it too, because it's what I've been doing. Learn to grow food. And if you don't really have a lot of ability to grow food, grow microgreens just in a jar with seeds that you wet, and you rinse them and you allow them to grow. And you'll find that way your health will be better. If we go through a period where it's hard to get produce at any period, you'll have that. So buy seeds. Make sure that they're the good seeds and they have, all the parts that they need to be, wholesome. What do they call them? Heritage seeds. And so that is honoring permaculture renewal, because sustainability is not really what we're dealing with anymore. We're way past that. In the 70s, we wanted sustainability. Now we need renewal. We need to focus on ways that we bring back places that have become arid and are no longer, working anymore. And we found that nature has all these solutions where animals would wander around. They wouldn't eat too much of an area. They wouldn't overeat it. They'd walk on the grass, and the grass would keep the moisture in the ground, and they'd urine and defecate, and that would fertilize, and that was just a beautiful system. It worked out so well, and then you look at aquaponics, and actually this is my aquaponics with my avocado plant there. And I'm doing this aquaponics because it's the perfect fertilizer for us. And it's a wonderful thing for us as we hear like, oh, we don't have the fertilizer isn't good, we need to go organic. Grow systems. Like this whole aquaponic system feeds itself. It doesn't need to be watering. It's bio environments is what we're doing, and it recycles the water so that you always have the fish being fed by the plant, and the plant feeding the fish, and it's just this, the fish are feeding the plant, and the plant has never looked better. So I'm just doing this at $25 on Amazon. You can get a little kit to try it out on your fish tank like I did. But it's just so important that we learn about these things. There's a wonderful book that I'm recommending everyone to get. It's the Biodome Garden Book. And it has all the instructions to make a longer growing time and a self watering system that is you can make into a beautiful koi pond. She doesn't do that. She has them in a barrel. I don't want to do that with my fish. I actually want them in a beautiful koi pond where it's a meditation spot with your food. And so that's the vision that I have for the food of the future, is that we each grow our own main foods and go and meditate in the place where your food is growing. So this is a system that I'm talking about that's all solar. It's unplugged from the grid if you can, as soon as you can. Enough said. We know what that's all about. Then find your tribe and help one another. I mean, really, your tribe is what this whole Pluto thing is all about. In Pluto in Capricorn, we really wanted the government to take care of us, the authorities to take care of us. Whereas as we grow to the next, understanding of, this Aquarian Plutonian energy is the tribal energy where we're all interdependently connected and we are working on our own but sharing for the community. So it's important to right now find your tribe, cultivate your tribe, honor your tribe, and help one another, because we're going to all have to help one another a lot more during these times. Be kind to everyone. Understand that if people are doing something that you don't understand, you probably don't understand. There's so much they're going through. Just have faith and honor them, send them grace, send them love, send them energy if you can help. And just know that we're going to all be through some hard times for a little while. So this, August is just the energy that we're getting to really motivate ourselves to move with this Taurus Triad into doing free speech in a whole new way as we discover performance art and in creative ways to speak out with everyone on their YouTube channel, having a voice for what it is that we need to do to cultivate the new earth. That's what we're here for. So love, peace, and mindfulness, pass it on, share that, and do something every day that fills you with awe. Go see the sunset. Go, look, if you don't have anything around you, just watch some of those things where they have ducks, playing with kittens or something. Just, there's so many ways to get that warm feeling of gratitude and inspiration for life. So I'm just saying it's something we have to cultivate. Don't wait for it to come to you. Go and find it and nurture yourself with that energy, knowing that you are worth all the good things that you are. Thank you so much for listening to Astro Insights. This is August, and we will be doing September and some other specials where I'll be teaching astrology too. So blessings. My focus is relationship alchemy. How can we get along? Relationships, intimate ones, family members, workers, friends, communities. How can we raise emotional intelligence? That's what astrology can help you with, the cycles that they happen and finding out what it is you're calling, what you're here to offer the world that needs it so much now more than ever. Rise up and be who you is, loving you. Thanks so much for waiting to the end and watching the whole thing. And I'll be doing more of these. And if you have something that you'd like to offer, please go ahead and tell me in the comments, and I'll do research on that if there's something that you want to know about. Or if you're interested in finding out more about my Transparenting Tarot, there's a link down below, transparenting.net/tarot, where you can get a free Transparenting Tarot reading, a 3-card reading that is sent to you. And if you put your email address, it'll be sent to me, where I look at the I Ching involved with that reading. And if you put your birth date, time, and place, even if you don't have your time, that's okay. Just put your birth date and place, and I will go ahead and look at it and see some personal things I can add to the email that I send back to you. So enjoy Authentic Life Astrology here with another Astro Insight session, offering all of us love and joy, knowing that we are here to grow. That's why we're here. And astrology just helps us how to know how to motivate ourselves through the ebbs and the flows of our growth. Blessings. Peace. Oh, this is so much fun.